So in the previous segment, we spoke a lot about accountability, and I think it's very apt that we have a new guest with us, because that speaks to the next segment. I'd like to welcome Unako. Actually, her dad actually needs to introduce her by himself.
Say your name. This is Unago, Itumeleng Koia. Say hi to everybody. Hey guys, there's another camera there.
Great. I think in light of everything that we've said, so we've spoken in the first segment about 95% of the households in your street are single-headed. You're a dad. We've spoken about the failures of masculinity insofar as holding each other accountable in the past. We don't have mentors for masculinity. And this brings me to a very critical point, as Unako is here, so what are we teaching the future generations? And I think this question is a lot more apt for the two of you. You have a son, you have a daughter. What are the things that you're teaching your children around all the things we've spoken about, gender roles, masculinity, and all of that kind of stuff?
Look, as I mentioned before, I'm trying to teach my son how to be accountable as a man. I'm trying to teach him that, being a man you can't just have things by virtue of being a man. He needs to earn his keep.
Okay.
And this is in the little things that that happen in life. Like keeping his space clean. Like keeping himself clean. Making sure that.
Yes, thank you.
What are you teaching in relation to women? Is he entitled to women?
No, of course not. Of course not.
How does that dynamic play out?
Look, so in terms of women, I'm treating him how to respect every woman that he comes across, whether she's older, whether she's younger. And look, the nice thing about my son is that he's actually like a gentle soul as well. Okay. So for me, that job now becomes easier. I don't have to, work hard at showing him, how to treat women. But the flip side to that is he learns from what I do. Not what you say. Not what I say.
Right.
You know what I mean? Everything that he does is a reflection of what I do. And I've seen it in the small things, in the music that I listen to, in the clothes that I wear, and like in the cars that I like. So men need to be cognizant of the fact that the future generation learn from our behaviors and not what we say, because in essence they are trying to emulate us.
Yeah.
Like I see it in my son's eyes. I'm his hero. Like he looks at me and he just sees.
Gotcha.
He sees Superman. So what Superman needs to remember is that however his son turns out is a reflection of how he was behaving. So. So in short, it's your behaviors. So if you are bringing 1,000 women around your son, you're saying it's okay for him, to be a womanizer.
Okay.
So if you are being an alcoholic around him, you are saying it's okay to be an alcoholic. If you are beating up his mother, you're saying that it's okay, to be violent, against women. And I think. That's one lesson that I've learned in my life, and he disciplines me a lot, like in terms of my behaviors as well, because I am accountable to him. My son doesn't sleep before I come back home. That's just what I mean. So if I come home at 3 a.m. in the morning, he's up there and he's waiting for me. So in short, our behaviors are the ones that will direct the future generation.
Got you.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to pose a different question to you. Why do you think it is we're all your homies. Why is it that when you found out and you told us that you were having a daughter, most of the homies that were close to you, we all said we're packing grenades, we're packing heavy artillery, because we're not trying to have no dudes mess with this princess right here. Don't you think that's an acknowledgement of the fact that we know how trashy we are, and we don't want that trashiness passed on to someone as precious as this, because she's part of you and we love you? That's that's her response. Like, yeah, I don't want them to just let it, so that's point one, and acknowledging where things are with masculinity, and secondly, knowing the journey you've traveled, then how are you imparting, or will impart, she's only 6 months old, to her, all the stuff that you've spoken about, so that she grows up as a properly, yeah.
All right, so what I'm going to try and leave with this precious soul over here is principle. Is what we spoke about this morning via WhatsApp. Principle is very important. Loving one another. Just, being good people to one another, We... look, I know most people are probably looking here and thinking, oh, it's the little girl that made him soft. No, it's not really, but I think my biggest fear was having a girl.
That's
the question that you're asking, right?
Because
yeah.
we're nonsense.
We're all nonsense. Yeah.
Comrades, speak for yourself.
60.
I want to say,
Comrades.
Hugh's biggest fear was having a girl child, because in as much as we might come across it, we're nonsense.
Comrade.
We're nonsense. We're nonsense as men. We're nonsense. We're trash. Let's call a spade a spade. But Ngaba, here's the point. The only reason why
Are you going back to the scientific?
Ngaba, the only reason why, to be very honest, why any of us guys who knew that you were having a daughter, we're talking and still talk about packing nines, grenades, whatever, is because there's an inherent knowledge of the fact that men are trash. So we can talk about not all men, but we know for a fact that this precious child, there's a more than 50% probability that when she grows older, she's going to encounter absolute trash. One, because either we know we karma, primal, whatever. So all I'm saying in light of that, daddy.
All right. Excuse. I'll tell you.
Excuse Nana.
I never thought I'd see this day.
and that's the point I'm trying to make, Ngaba. Right? That all the men, well-meaning
Can I interject?
Notions of protection of this child is just purely based on the fact that the very men that are trying to protect her know the fact that the large majority of men that she'll come into contact with are absolute trash, that will break her heart, that will do all sorts of things, either because they've seen it or they've done the same thing themselves to other people's daughters.
Let me answer that. Okay, my answer to that is, it's not only been carried on from the previous generation, but it's been publicized even in media, society, the shows that we watch, the stories that we read. It's been made fashionable for men to become players, and as a result, us growing up watching and reading all that media and the hype, we end up becoming a product of that. Not realizing, because you're at a young age and you're starting to, have more than two girlfriends, or more than one girlfriend in that matter. You're 16 years old. Now you're starting to look at girls, and you're like, and you watch a show on, a Black American show primarily Black American BET, and it's suddenly okay to be, in the show you're watching someone say, hey man, I was with this girl last week and I was with this girl this week, and it starts looking cool. And that's where the problem, I think, primarily lies, because we start thinking it's okay as men to have more than one girlfriend at age 16. So then grow up, fast forward, you're 25 years old now you've got more than one girlfriend. You've got 2 or 3 girlfriends at that matter. Now and let's count. This is 9 years now difference. How many girls have you gone through that time? You know what I mean?
Yeah, got you.
You know what I mean? So now, and then you base it back and say, I'm about to have a girl child. Damn, she's about to see some shit.
Hallelujah. Excuse the French.
Excuse the French. There's no sweat around. But the point is that, and that's the reality of it, dog. We're exposed not only from media, but also every day, among the much that we regard a man. They don't set us the example of stay true to the one. Don't fuck around. Don't be that guy. They make it look cool to have, buy a whip, take a few chicks in the car, and do as you please by the end of the night,
Where the whip's at.
Yeah, and then they make it.
It's all about the Benjamin.
And it's exactly, because they make evil look good.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. That's the reality of what it's become. And yes, I understand that free will is at play here, because we're the ones who are supposed to make the decision at the end. But if you're trying to impose free will on a 16-year-old, you're not really going to win that one. Because a 16-year-old has crazy hormones running in his head and in his body. And the easiest route is to just have more than one girl.
Got you. I think it's we're losing the lighting. I mean, we'll definitely have another session, another time on the fence there at the crib, but I think there's a lot of follow-up questions I have based on this initial recording, which we'll get to. But I mean, I just want to thank everybody for making the time for this very important topic. And I think what I hope, at least for our viewers out there that will see this segment that we've recorded over the last 2 hours, 3 hours with these gents, is I hope it, first of all, if you're a guy, forces you to introspect and to think on some of the things that we've said and what's true for you and what changes you need to make in your own self as a person. If you're a woman or you're part of the LGBTQI plus movement, I hope that you will at least forward it to someone in your life that's will find some of the things that we've talked about beneficial, and make them introspect for themselves. And lastly, I just want to say stay tuned, subscribe to the YouTube channel. You get notifications about when the next episode is going up. Comment on this episode, all the stuff that we've spoken about. I think I'll have like the YouTube link and the whatever stuff here. Let's keep this conversation alive, because it's ultimately conversation that sparks the change that we need to see in our society. And from us here for now, we're just going to say cheers, and may we be the change that we want to see in our society. We out.